The notification pinged on my phone at 11:47 p.m. on a Tuesday night in downtown Memphis. Another ride request. I glanced at the pickup location, Beale Street, right outside one of those upscale bars where drinks cost more than I make in a day. My heart sank a little, but I accepted the ride anyway. I couldn't afford to be picky. They laughed before they even got in my car. 3 college-aged kids, dressed in designer clothes that probably cost more than my monthly rent, standing on the sidewalk pointing at my 2009 Honda Civic. The paint was faded, there was a dent in the passenger door from when I got sideswiped last year, and yes, the muffler made that embarrassing rumbling sound that announced my arrival from 2 blocks away. My name is Michael. I'm 28 years old, and I've been driving for Uber for the past 3 years. Before you judge my situation or click away from this story, let me ask you something. Where are you watching this from? Comment below and tell me which city you're tuning in from, because what happened to me that night could happen to anyone trying to make an honest living. And if this story speaks to you, please hit that subscribe button, because you're about to hear how one moment of cruelty became the catalyst for something I never could have imagined. The 3 passengers climbed into my car, and I could immediately smell the expensive cologne mixed with alcohol. The one who slid into the front passenger seat looked like he'd never worked a day in his life. Perfectly styled blonde hair, manicured nails, clothes that screamed, "Trust fund, baby." "Dude," he said to his friends as he buckled his seatbelt, "check out this ride. We're really slumming it tonight." I gripped the steering wheel tighter and pulled away from the curb. The destination was a luxury apartment complex in East Memphis, about a 20-minute drive through the city. "Sir, where exactly in the complex would you like me to drop you off?" I asked politely, trying to keep my voice steady. "Just get us there, my man," the passenger in the back said dismissively, "and try not to break down on the way." They all laughed at that. The guy in the front seat pulled out his phone and started recording. "Guys, you have to see this," he said, turning the camera toward the interior of my car. "We're riding in what has to be the most ghetto Uber in Memphis history. Look at this dashboard. I think it's held together with duct tape." He wasn't wrong. The dashboard did have duct tape covering a crack near the radio. The fabric on the seats was worn thin in places, and the air freshener hanging from my rearview mirror was doing its best to mask the smell of a car that had seen better days. "Check out our driver," the guy continued, turning the camera toward me. "He looks like he hasn't slept in days. Probably works 3 jobs just to keep this piece of junk running." Again, he wasn't wrong. I was working 3 jobs. Uber during the nights and weekends, a warehouse job during the day, and I delivered pizza on Thursday nights. I was averaging about 4 hours of sleep per night, and it showed in the dark circles under my eyes, and the stubble I didn't have time to shave. "What's your story, driver?" the guy with the phone asked me directly. "How'd you end up in such a sad situation?" I glanced at him in the rearview mirror. Part of me wanted to tell him to mind his own business. Part of me wanted to pull over and ask them to get out. But I needed the money. I needed every single ride, every single 5-star rating, every single tip. "Just trying to make ends meet," I said quietly. "Make ends meet?" He laughed and his friends joined in. "Bro, your ends are in different zip codes. When's the last time this car passed inspection?" The humiliation burned in my chest, but I kept driving. We hit a red light, and that's when the guy in the front seat really went for the throat. "This is going straight to my TikTok," he announced. "People need to see what rock bottom looks like. Like, imagine being almost 30 and this is your life, driving strangers around in a car that belongs in a junkyard." The light turned green and I accelerated. The car made that embarrassing rumbling sound, and they all burst into laughter again. "Oh my God, did you hear that? This thing sounds like a lawnmower." "I'm genuinely concerned for our safety right now," another one chimed in. "Like, are we going to make it to our destination, or are we going to end up on the side of the road waiting for eventual?" I wanted to defend myself. I wanted to tell them that this car might not look like much, but I maintained it myself, that every oil change and every repair came out of my own pocket, that I worked 16-hour days just to keep it running. I wanted to tell them about my mother in the nursing home, about how her Alzheimer's medication costs $800 a month even with insurance, about how I'd sold everything I owned just to keep her comfortable. But I didn't say any of that. I just drove. The apartment complex was one of those gated communities with a fountain at the entrance and perfectly manicured landscaping. The kind of place where the cheapest apartment probably rented for more than I made in 2 months. "Well, this has been an experience," the guy with the phone said as they climbed out of my car. "Thanks for the content, driver. Your struggle is about to make me famous." They slammed the doors and walked toward the building, still laughing and talking about my car. I sat there for a moment watching them disappear into their luxury apartment, feeling smaller than I'd ever felt in my life. The ride had taken 23 minutes. They'd given me a 2-star rating and no tip. I drove home to my studio apartment on the south side of Memphis, the same apartment I'd been living in for 3 years because it was all I could afford. The building was old, the neighborhood wasn't great, but it was home. As I climbed the stairs to the 3rd floor, I could hear Mrs. Rodriguez's baby crying next door, the sound of a TV playing too loud from the apartment below, the familiar sounds of people just trying to get by. I fell into bed at 2 a.m., knowing I had to be at the warehouse by 6 a.m. for my day shift. As I closed my eyes, I couldn't shake the feeling that somewhere across town, those 3 kids were editing their video, adding music and captions, turning my humiliation into their entertainment. I had no idea that by morning, everything would change. When I woke up 4 hours later, my phone was buzzing non-stop. Notifications were pouring in faster than I could read them. Text messages, missed calls, social media alerts, emails. It was like my phone had exploded overnight. The first text message was from my cousin Danny. "Mike, you need to see this. You're all over the internet." My hands were shaking as I opened TikTok. The video was right there on my feed, and the numbers made my stomach drop. 2.3 million views, 45,000 comments. 18,000 shares. But as I read the comments, I realized something unexpected had happened. The internet wasn't laughing at me. They were furious at the passengers. "This is disgusting. That driver is working hard to make a living, and these entitled brats are mocking him. I hope these rich kids get what's coming to them. This man deserves respect, not ridicule. Someone find out who this driver is so we can support him. And someone find out who these passengers are so we can shame them." This broke my heart. No one should be treated like this for trying to make an honest living. The video had backfired spectacularly. Instead of making the passengers look cool and funny, it had revealed them as cruel, entitled bullies, picking on someone who was working multiple jobs just to survive. But the real surprise came in a direct message I received at 7:23 a.m. It was from Uber. The message from Uber corporate arrived while I was getting ready for my warehouse shift. And at first, I thought it was some kind of scam. Companies like Uber don't just reach out to random drivers, especially not drivers like me, who barely maintain a 4.2-star rating and drive cars that should probably be retired. "Dear Michael," the message read, "we are aware of the viral video involving your recent ride and the inappropriate behavior of the passengers. We would like to discuss this matter with you. Please call this number at your earliest convenience. Uber Executive Team." I stared at the message for a full minute before it sank in. Uber had seen the video. Uber knew what had happened to me. I called in sick to the warehouse, the first time I'd missed work in over a year, and dialed the number with trembling fingers. "Michael?" The voice on the other end was professional but warm. "This is Sarah Chen. I'm the regional director for Uber's Southeast operations. I'm calling about what happened to you last night." "Am I in trouble?" The words came out before I could stop them. In my experience, when corporate executives called, it usually meant bad news. "Michael, you're not in trouble, but those passengers are. We've already permanently banned them from our platform, and we're exploring legal action for harassment and defamation." I sat down hard on my second-hand couch, trying to process what she was telling me. "More importantly," Sarah continued, "we want to make this right. That video has been seen by millions of people, and frankly, it's shown us something we need to address. You represent thousands of drivers who work incredibly hard under difficult circumstances, and you didn't deserve to be treated that way. She paused, and I could hear papers rustling on her end of the line. Michael, I've been looking at your driver profile. 3 years with us, working nights and weekends, maintaining steady service despite some challenging circumstances. Your car is old, but your safety record is perfect. Your customer service scores are actually quite good when you exclude the obvious fake reviews from last night. I do my best, I managed to say. I can see that, which is why I'm calling with an offer. Uber wants to partner with you on something special. We're launching a program called Uber Heroes, spotlighting drivers who go above and beyond despite personal challenges. We'd like you to be our first featured driver. My head was spinning. What does that mean exactly? It means several things. First, we're going to replace your car completely. We're partnering with a local dealership to provide you with a brand new vehicle, a 2024 Toyota Camry Hybrid, perfect for rideshare driving. Full warranty, insurance covered for the first year, maintenance package included. I literally could not speak. I opened my mouth, but no words came out. Michael, are you there? Yes, I'm here. Are you serious? Completely serious. But that's not all. We're also providing you with a guaranteed income program. $12,500 per month minimum, whether you drive that much or not. And we're setting up a college scholarship fund in your name for other drivers who want to further their education. The tears started before I could stop them. I was sitting in my rundown apartment, wearing a uniform for a warehouse job that barely paid my bills, holding a phone call that was about to change my entire life. Why? I asked through the tears. Why me? Sarah's voice softened. Because that video showed the world something important, Michael. It showed them that behind every service worker, every driver, every person working multiple jobs just to survive, there's a human being with dignity who deserves respect. Your grace under pressure, your professionalism in the face of cruelty. That's exactly the kind of driver we want to represent our brand. She gave me details about when and where to pick up the new car, explained the paperwork I'd need to sign, and told me that their marketing team would be in touch about some promotional opportunities. One more thing, Michael. We're going to need you to make a video response to what happened. Nothing scripted, just you telling your story in your own words. Can you do that? I think so, I said, wiping my eyes with my sleeve. After we hung up, I sat in my apartment for a long time, just trying to absorb what had happened. 24 hours ago, I was a struggling driver getting mocked by rich kids. Now I was apparently the face of a national campaign for worker dignity. But the call from Uber wasn't the only surprise that day. Around noon, there was a knock on my door. I opened it to find a woman in her 50s, professionally dressed, holding a clipboard and looking slightly nervous. Are you Michael, the Uber driver from the video? My first instinct was to close the door. The attention was overwhelming, and I wasn't sure I was ready for more. My name is Patricia Williams, she continued quickly. I'm a social worker here in Memphis, and I wanted to talk to you about something personal. Something in her tone made me pause. What kind of something? It's about your mother, Angela Thompson, at Sunset Manor Nursing Home. My blood went cold. Is she okay? What happened? She's fine, Patricia said quickly. But I need to talk to you about her care costs. May I come in? I let her into my apartment, and she sat on my couch with the same careful politeness that social workers always used when they had bad news to deliver. Michael, I've been reviewing your mother's account. You've been paying for her Alzheimer's care out of pocket for the past 2 years, is that correct? Yes. Insurance covers some of it, but not the specialized care she needs. Patricia nodded sympathetically. You've been paying approximately $800 per month in additional fees. That's a significant burden for someone in your financial situation. I felt defensive suddenly. I've never missed a payment. My mother gets the best care I can afford. I know you haven't missed a payment. That's actually why I'm here. Michael, someone has come forward to sponsor your mother's care. All of it. The remaining balance on her account and all future costs for as long as she needs care. I stared at her. What? Who? They want to remain anonymous. But they said they saw the video and wanted to help. They've established a trust fund that will cover all of your mother's medical expenses indefinitely. The room started spinning. I don't understand. Why would someone do that? Patricia smiled, the first genuine smile I'd seen from a social worker in years. Because sometimes, Michael, when people see injustice, they want to do something about it. Your story touched a lot of people. This is someone's way of saying that hard work and family loyalty should be rewarded, not mocked. She handed me a folder with paperwork. There's one condition. The sponsor wants you to use the money you've been spending on your mother's care to better your own situation. Go back to school, start a business, invest in your future. They believe you have potential that's been held back by circumstances. After Patricia left, I walked to my window and looked out at the Memphis skyline. Somewhere out there, a stranger had just changed my family's life forever. Somewhere out there, 3 entitled kids thought they were making a funny video, but instead they'd accidentally revealed something beautiful about human nature. My phone buzzed with another message. This one was from a local news station asking for an interview, then another from a radio show, then one from a national morning show, but the message that meant the most came from a number I didn't recognize. Saw your video. I'm a small business owner in Memphis, and I want to offer you a job. Real job, real benefits, real respect. Call me when you're ready to stop driving for other people and start building something for yourself. James Rodriguez. Rodriguez Construction. I realized then that the 3 passengers who'd humiliated me had inadvertently done something they never intended. They'd shown the world what cruelty looked like, and in response, the world had chosen kindness. If you're still watching this story, comment below and tell me about a time when someone's cruelty backfired and led to something positive. Sometimes the worst moments in our lives become the doorways to our best opportunities. And I want to hear your stories too. The day I picked up my new car was surreal. I drove my old 2009 Honda Civic to the Toyota dealership on Poplar Avenue, the same car that had been mocked and ridiculed just a week earlier, and walked out with the keys to a brand new 2024 Camry Hybrid. The dealership manager, a friendly man named Robert, walked me through every feature like I was buying the car myself, instead of receiving it as a gift from Uber. Heated seats, backup camera, smartphone integration, GPS navigation, luxuries I'd never even dreamed of having. This car should serve you well, Robert said as he handed me the keys. And Mr. Michael, I saw that video. What those kids did was wrong, but look how it turned out. Sometimes the universe has a funny way of evening things out. As I drove the new car off the lot, I caught my reflection in the rearview mirror. For the first time in years, I looked like someone who had hope. But the real transformation started when I called James Rodriguez from Rodriguez Construction. We met for coffee at a small diner in Midtown Memphis, and James turned out to be nothing like I expected. He was probably in his 40s, with calloused hands and paint under his fingernails, a man who'd clearly worked his way up from the bottom. I saw your video, he said after we'd ordered. But more importantly, I saw how you handled yourself. You didn't fight back, you didn't get angry, you just kept doing your job with dignity. That tells me everything I need to know about your character. He leaned forward across the table. I've been building houses and renovating properties in Memphis for 15 years. Started with nothing but a pickup truck and a toolbox. Now I have 12 employees and more work than I can handle. But I need someone I can trust to help me manage the business side. Scheduling, customer relations, quality control. I don't have any construction experience, I admitted. I don't need construction experience. I need someone reliable, someone who understands what it means to work hard for every dollar, someone who treats people with respect even when they don't deserve it. The construction part I can teach you. The character part, that's something you either have or you don't. James offered me a starting salary of $45,000 per year, plus health benefits and a retirement plan. It was more money than I'd ever made in my life, more security than I'd ever had. "There's one more thing," he said as we shook hands. "I'm not just offering you a job, Michael. I'm offering you a partnership track. Work hard for 2 years, learn the business, and I'll sell you a 25% stake in the company. You'll go from employee to business owner." That night, I drove my new car to Sunset Manor to visit my mother. The nursing home staff treated me differently now, not because I had a nicer car, but because they'd seen the video too. Everyone had seen the video. My mother, Angela, was having one of her good days. Alzheimer's is cruel that way. It gives you moments of clarity just often enough to break your heart when they're gone. "Michael," she said when I walked into her room, "you look different, happier." I sat beside her bed and took her hand. "Things are getting better, Mom. I got a new job, a good job, and someone paid for all your medical bills, everything. You don't have to worry about anything anymore." She squeezed my hand with surprising strength. "I always knew you were special. Even when you were little, you had such a good heart. Your father would be so proud." My father had died when I was 12, leaving my mother to raise me alone while working 2 jobs. She'd sacrificed everything for my education, my future, my opportunities. When her Alzheimer's started, there was never any question that I'd take care of her, the same way she'd taken care of me. "The doctors say I might not remember this conversation tomorrow," she continued, "but I want you to know something. You're a good man, Michael. Whatever happened to bring about these changes in your life, you deserved every bit of it." 2 weeks later, I was featured on the local morning show, then a national podcast, then eventually a segment on a major network news program. The story had taken on a life of its own, not just about me, but about the dignity of work, the power of kindness, and how social media could sometimes be a force for good instead of destruction. The 3 passengers who'd originally mocked me never appeared in any of these interviews. Their social media accounts had been deleted, and according to Uber, they'd tried to claim their accounts had been hacked when the backlash started. But by then, their faces and names had been identified, and they'd become symbols of entitled cruelty. I found out later that one of them, the main instigator, had been kicked out of his fraternity and lost an internship at his father's company. His parents had issued a public apology and donated $10,000 to a fund for struggling rideshare drivers. But I didn't take any satisfaction in their downfall. If anything, I felt sorry for them. They were young, privileged, and they'd made a terrible mistake that would follow them forever. I hoped they'd learn from it and become better people. The real victory wasn't in their punishment. It was in what grew from the ashes of that humiliating night. 6 months after the video went viral, I was managing 3 construction crews for Rodriguez Construction. I'd learned to read blueprints, estimate materials, and coordinate with subcontractors. More importantly, I'd learned that I was good at business, that I had a talent for organization and problem-solving that I'd never discovered while driving for Uber. James was true to his word about the partnership track. We drew up papers that would make me part owner of the company after 2 years of successful management. But the biggest change came in an unexpected phone call I received on a Thursday afternoon while I was reviewing plans for a kitchen renovation. "Is this Michael Thompson?" "Yes, this is Michael. My name is Dr. Jennifer Walsh. I'm the head of admissions at the University of Memphis Business School. I'm calling because we'd like to offer you a full scholarship to complete your bachelor's degree in business administration." I nearly dropped the phone. "I'm sorry, what?" "We have a scholarship program for non-traditional students who have demonstrated exceptional character and work ethic. Your story, your response to adversity, and your rapid success in business management make you an ideal candidate." She explained that I could attend classes in the evenings while continuing to work for Rodriguez Construction. The degree would take 4 years to complete, but I'd graduate with both business knowledge and real-world experience. "Dr. Walsh," I said, "I don't understand why this is happening to me. 6 months ago, I was barely getting by, and now you're living proof that hard work and good character matter," she finished. "Sometimes it takes a crisis to reveal someone's true potential. That video was your crisis, but everything that's happened since has been your choice to rise above it." That evening, I drove my Toyota Camry to the same street corner where I used to pick up passengers, the same area where those 3 kids had humiliated me. I parked and sat there for a while, thinking about how drastically my life had changed. My phone buzzed with a text message from an unknown number. "Hey, this is Tyler. I was one of the passengers in that video from 6 months ago. I know you probably don't want to hear from me, but I wanted to apologize and tell you something. What we did to you changed my life too. I transferred schools, started volunteering with a non-profit that helps working families, and I'm studying social work now. I'll never forgive myself for how we treated you, but I want you to know that your dignity that night taught me what real strength looks like. I hope you're doing well." I stared at the message for a long time before responding. "Thank you for reaching out. We all make mistakes. What matters is what we learn from them. I forgive you, and I hope you keep using your experience to help other people." A year later, I was interviewed for a documentary about viral videos and their impact on people's lives. The interviewer asked me if I was grateful for what had happened that night. "It's complicated," I answered honestly. "I wouldn't wish that humiliation on anyone. But I also can't deny that it led to opportunities I never would have had otherwise. Sometimes our worst moments become the foundation for our greatest achievements." The documentary aired on a major streaming platform, and the response was overwhelmingly positive. But the comment that meant the most to me came from someone named Angela M. Thompson. "That's my son. I'm so proud of the man he's become." My mother had watched the documentary during one of her lucid moments, and somehow she'd managed to leave a comment on the streaming service. The nurses at Sunset Manor told me she talked about it for days, telling everyone who would listen that her son was going to be a business owner and a college graduate. As I write this story, I'm 2 years into my partnership with Rodriguez Construction and halfway through my business degree. We've expanded the company to include commercial properties, and we're building our first affordable housing development, quality homes for working families who deserve dignity and respect. I still drive for Uber occasionally, not because I need the money, but because I never want to forget where I came from. When I pick up passengers now, I drive a car that's clean and comfortable, and I treat every rider with the respect I wish I'd received that night. Sometimes I get passengers who recognize me from the viral video. Most are kind and encouraging. A few want to take selfies, but occasionally I get someone who makes a cruel comment or treats me poorly just to see if I'll react. I never do. I've learned that dignity isn't about how others treat you. It's about how you treat others, especially when they don't deserve it. The 3 passengers who changed my life probably never intended to teach me anything. They were just having what they thought was harmless fun at a stranger's expense. But they accidentally revealed something important about human nature, that for every person willing to mock someone else's struggles, there are hundreds more willing to help lift them up. If you're watching this and you're struggling, if you're working multiple jobs just to get by, if you're driving an old car or living paycheck to paycheck, remember this: your current situation is not your final destination. Sometimes the worst thing that happens to you becomes the best thing that ever happened to you. And if you're someone who has the power to mock or to help, to tear down or to build up, remember that your choices have consequences you might never see. Choose kindness, choose dignity, choose to be part of someone's rise instead of their fall. The video that was meant to humiliate me ended up liberating me. The passengers who thought they were documenting my failure actually documented my beginning. Subscribe if this story moved you. And remember, we're all just one moment, one choice, one act of kindness away from changing someone's life forever. The end.